either on position number 3 or position number 6. So I cannot make it any more clear to anybody, especially when I talk to my patient, that your body cannot make omega-3 or omega-6. It must come in the food that you eat. And if it does not come in the food that you eat, your body is deficient in it. And if your body is deficient in it, your body is going to collapse. And the example I give to my patients is that you can have this because the wall of the cells of your body is made from omega-3 and omega-6. So okay, you can imagine this room over here where the ground, the slab is very good, and the roof is very good, but the walls are no good. What's going to happen to this building? It's going to collapse. And that's what's happening. I think in my limited knowledge, small knowledge, I think most of the diseases, we'll come back to this later on, most of the degenerative diseases and most of the problem we are seeing in this country and all over the world is due to the lack of the structure of the walls, which means the wall of our cells are collapsing. And then the reason they are collapsing because we don't have the material, we don't have the bricks or the concrete blocks to build these walls. We might have good floor, we might have good roof, we might have good ceiling, we might have good plumbing, we might have good electricity, but the walls are no good. The many sources of polyunsaturated fat in our diet have been destroyed. And how did we destroy them? Well, why did we destroy them to start with? We destroyed them mainly to prolong the shelf life of these things. We prolong them for profit because we can make more money by separating things and selling everything separately. And we destroy them by heat, by pesticide, by a lot of other things which we'll discuss later on. So it is very important to remember that the commercial processing of these oil have created a lot of problems for us. As we will see later on, if you are looking for these oil, you have to look for 3 things. And I don't know whether all of you are aware of that or not. Number 1, whether it's organic or not. Number 2, whether it have pesticide or not. And number 3, whether it was cold press or not. Why? Because heat could destroy these oils too. And then, of course, we come and destroy it ourselves when we do what? We do frying. Now, don't forget, we do a lot of frying, in this country and all over the world. Now, these oil, once you fry them, what do they become? Trans fat. Especially or we go ahead and we sell them margarine. Margarine has been one of the biggest killer and one of the biggest reasons for heart attacks in this country for the past 50 or 60 years. We just discovered that, just in the past 10 years. Of course, I ate a lot of margarine when I was young because they told me I stay away from butter and eat margarine. But are you aware if you put a stick of margarine in your window and you put a stick of butter, that even the roaches will not come to the margarine? And anybody who challenged that, I challenge you to do this test. You can put a stick of butter on your window, you can put a stick of margarine, the margarine will be there good for 30 days. The butter will be gone. So the roaches have been smarter than man. And they know that margarine is no good for you. But nevertheless, one of the most important things I want to tell you is that and we'll cover this also, we'll come to these because they are very interrelated. One of the major reasons of the increase of autoimmune disease in this country and all over the world is trans fatty acids. Why? Because trans fatty acid is something called man-made. The Lord did not make it. Trans fatty acid is made by man. And sometimes everything made by man is something gets screwed up. When you eat trans fatty acid, though that they taste good, your body never heard of these guys, does not know what they are. So your body look at them as what? As a foreign body. And what does your body make against them? Antibody. So the increase of antibodies that we see in rheumatoid arthritis, we see in degenerative diseases, we see in Hashimoto thyroiditis, we see a lot of lupus, we see pre-arthritis nodosa, Sjogren disease. We see a lot of diseases now which we feel it is autoimmune disease. They call it autoimmune. And we don't know why it's autoimmune. Well, let me tell you why it's autoimmune. because you are eating too much trans fatty acids. Next slide, please. Next. Now, I don't want to bore you over here and tell you that I'm an excellent biochemist, because all of you, as pharmacists, know more than me about it. But again, the essential fatty acids are two groups, omega-3, which is 18-3W3, and omega-6, which is 18-2W6. And I want you to concentrate, look on at the delta-6 desaturase, because this enzyme is very important. And I will tell you why I want you to remember this enzyme, the delta-6 desaturase, because this enzyme is missing in a lot of our diabetic kids and diabetic children. And it's also missing or deficient in people with eczema. So, but I want to show you over here that these fatty acids, whether you know it or not, they are the base of very essential either good things or bad things. Usually you have the series 3 of prostaglandin, and these usually are good. You have the series 2, which are bad, and you have the series 1, which are good. One of the dangerous one, which you don't like to see very much in your body, is the arachidonic acid. That's 24W6. Arachidonic acid is very, very detrimental for autoimmune disease. And then the higher or the more level of arachidonic acid that you have in your system, the more tendency that you have to come with rheumatoid arthritis and inflammatory joint disease and some other problems. Next slide, please. Now, there is 4 oils: soybean, cottonseed, corn, and canola oil, which usually count for about 96% of the vegetable oil consumption in the United States. And I'm not anti any one of these guys, but I will tell you that these guys are not some of the most healthy oil. I personally, and I could be prejudiced, I don't like soy or soybean or soy oil. And the reason, and that's my personal belief, my patients know that, I think soy is a food which is fit for animals. It's not, the Lord did not make it for humans. And then who do you think is the largest consuming soy nation on the face of the earth? Some of you think it's the Japanese or the Chinese. You're wrong. It's the United States. And before the 40s or the 30s, as a matter of fact, we didn't even grow soy in this country. Soy have a lot of detrimental effect. And I don't want to go and get out of line and now tell you spend about half an hour, 1 hour talking about soy. But nevertheless, even the Japanese and the Chinese, they use soy as a condiment. I mean, they just add a little bit to the cooking or a little bit on the side, but they don't use it in the way we use it here in this country for cooking, for frying, for potato chips, for practically everything we do. Look at the label. Everything you have, it has soy. The essential fatty acid can go rancid if they are exposed to heat or light or oxygen. And I'll come back and address this point. And I disagree with my colleague, Dr. Klein. I don't know where he left. I think he left. When we come and talk about cancer, because David feels that cancer have a lot of causes. For me, I like life simple. I honestly think that cancer have one cause, which I will see if how many of you will know what's the cause of cancer. And this was discovered, by the way, in 1924, but everybody closed his eyes about it, since 1924. Now, one of the most important things for you to remember is not that you take a healthy essential fatty acid, but what is the ratio? And this is where the money is. There is no question that in this country we consume too much of omega-6 and not enough of omega-3. Now, if you see, for example, if you see that the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio for these combined oil is between 12:2 and 25:1. This ratio was 3:1 and 5:1 100 years ago, which means the ratio, how much the people in this country ate omega-3 versus omega-6 have changed a lot. Even if it have changed also in the agriculture, in the meat that we eat. For example, the free roaming chicken, the omega-3 to omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is 1.3 versus in the corn-fed chicken is 19.4. Even in the beef that we eat, the old timer, when they ate the meat, they went hunting. They went after the moose, they went after the gazelle, they went after, the free animals, and they hunted them. And what was the omega-6 to the omega-3 ratio? 2:1. What's the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio now in the meat that we eat, which is the beef and fed corn or whatever it is? It's 16:1. So we have not only changed the quantity, but also the ratio. And that's very, very important. The recommendation, if you want to know how much omega-6 you have to take, usually I recommend 6 to 9 grams. How much omega-3 you have to take, you probably have to take, probably half of that, probably between 4 and 6. Always remember, if I want to give you any advice in your food, your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio should be about 2:1. Maximum 3:1, which means if you want, whatever you want to eat from the omega-6, half of this should be omega-3. Or, in another word, your omega-6 should be double or triple, no more than triple of what your omega-3 should be. Next slide, please. This is a slide that I gathered for you with a decreasing frequency. On the right-hand side, omega-3. On the left-hand side is the omega-6. And it is on your, I think it's in your booklet that you have. You can see that the highest oil containing omega-6 is evening primrose oil, 73%, followed by corn oil, walnut oil, etc., etc. Now, you need to remember there is gamma-linolenic acid, which is called GLA, and then the highest content of these, usually, this star all the way went to the flaxseed, but it does not work to the flaxseed. That's probably my fault over there. It belonged to the evening primrose oil. You can see the GLA in evening primrose oil is 10%. The GLA in borage oil is 24%. And in black currant is 18%. Now, if you look at the omega-3, you can find that the highest content of omega-3, you find it in flaxseed oil, followed by pumpkin, walnut, canola, soy, and you can see the last two oil, safflower and coconut oil, have 0 omega-3. Again, the important thing over here is to know how much, not how much to eat of this and of that, but the ratio, which means you have to have the wisdom and the knowledge to eat how much of the omega-3 and how much of the omega-6. And again, as I said, it will be wise for you always to make it 2:1, which means 2 from the omega-6 and then 1 from the omega-3. Next slide, please. Let me cover a couple of things very quickly. Next slide, please. Flaxseed oil has the highest count, as I said, of omega-3, containing about 55% on average. It varies from one batch to another, and it can vary anything between 51 to 58, but the average about 55. The increased consumption of flaxseed oil or omega-3 will be helpful or beneficial for probably every person in this country. And it will lower the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio that we have it very, very bad in this country. Most of us, including myself, we eat too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3 in our diet. It can be added to salad, salad dressing. It can be protein shake. It can be fruit smoothie. You can put the seed themselves over your salad and eat them. I personally I don't like the taste of flaxseed oil. I mean, this is just me, but there's a lot of people who like the seeds and who like the taste of the flaxseed oil. You need to remember it can be used in baking bread. The heat usually will not be enough to destroy the oil except in the crust. The oil and the crust will be gone, but in the rest of the pie it will be okay. Frying, however, will oxidize the oil quickly, turning it to a trans fatty acid. Soft gel capsules are convenient for somebody who on the run and he wants to put a couple of capsules or 3 capsules in his pocket or his purse and take them usually with his meal. Once you open the bottle, the liquid of flaxseed oil, you should refrigerate it. Next slide, please. Fish oil will